I welcome everyone to Mystics Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons here, Wilson Tarpey Jr., the Washington Mystics. This road trip has continued. This is the third stop. So much has happened this week. You have Washington with the trade deadline earlier this week. We saw about Brittany Sykes being traded. Then we saw Leah Edwards traded which was on yesterday, which was the trade deadline. I think yesterday at 3 p.m. Eastern, something of that nature. So in the Sykes trade, we saw Alicia Clark come back to DC. And then in the Leah Edwards trade, JC Sheldon's on the way. I think she's supposed to be joining. She should be joining the team when let's say it's playing on Sunday. Just want to double check. She should be joining them in Dallas to take on the Wings. And they'll have both of their new players that were part of these trades this week. That said, like we mentioned, it looked like Washington was a little shell shocked, a little out of it after last game. The game that where they had a game the same day that Slim ended up being traded. That said, in this game, I thought they did a great job bouncing back. We saw them really, really have a much better performance, but the Lynx found a way to knock them off 80-76 at home. The Lynx, it could have been their second home loss of the season. They rallied. They are 16-1 on the year at home. Obviously, no Nafisa Collier, but Elena Smith, man, that list of people that like playing the Mystics, she's found herself on it this year for sure. 24 points the last time out against Washington. 25 in this one, and Minnesota needed every bit of it. But Ray wanted to get your thoughts on this game and then outcome as well.
Yeah, man, it's always that one quarter that buries them for the entire game, and they're just not able to recover. Tonight it was the second quarter for the Mystics. Again, this was similar to the Atlanta game that started this road trip. Came out in the first quarter, firing on all cylinders. Second quarter, everything falls apart. I know it's being a dead horse, but the turnovers, man, it cripples them every time. And when they are in good offensive flows and have things working, they start to turn the ball over and they just can't regroup. They got to figure that out. And just to to emphasize how crippling the turnovers are, they were damn near perfect in almost every other aspect of the game. Um, but those turnovers, man, it nullifies all of that because they're playing well offensively, but they're turning the ball over and they're shooting the ball well rather, but then they start turning the ball over, they can't get shots up. They're defending well, but they turn the ball over. Minnesota gets out and run. They can't set up their defense. So yeah, it's just that one tip of the iceberg just snowballs into a whole lot of other problems, and it just it's just too much for them to come back from at this point. Wilson, you mentioned the roster shakeups, so they're kind of working their way through that, and with pretty young players leading the way. I mean, they're a young team in general, but honestly, your two rookies have pretty much been the best players since post All-Star break. And now this is a time where teams are ramping up for the playoffs, and they just can't afford these lapses mid game like this. And then for them to go on for so long, like you can't have a 10-minute stretch of bad play. That's just not going to cut it at this level. But like you said, man, they still turned it into turned into a battle. It came down to the final seconds. But the Lynx, albeit without Fee, they're the more experienced team. They were more composed and they were able to make the plays necessary to win. But there was definitely still some bright spots. Shout out to Sonya. She just continues to have an outstanding rookie season. But yeah, Atlanta Smith, she went to work 10 for 15, 25 points, 4 for 9 from 3. And that's important because the Mystics outside of her did a pretty good job defending the 3. but she was just on one, and it was enough to power them to the win.
Yeah, she's mentioned earlier. Looks like she is proven to be a matchup issue for them. Just the way her natural game has been an issue for them to deal with, and for Minnesota, they sorely needed every bit of it. You talked about the job they did. They did. I thought they did a really good job on Caleb McBride. Courtney Williams ended up with 14, but that was 14 on 13. That means there was some resistance here. It's 14 on 13. No one else really got it going. Jessica Shepard was 1 for 5. I thought Minnesota's bench did a really good job. Speaking of the movement, Minnesota was another one of those teams a little bit earlier than Washington, but they made the trade for Dejanay Carrington. This was her debut. I thought they got an early return on their investment, immediate return on their investment in this game. 12 points, 2 rebounds, a couple steals, and a block. Being the high level irritant that she is, we've seen her be over the past few years, and then in somewhere Minnesota, it's kind of like a hand and glove fit. Got 30 minutes off the bench in your debut, pretty much 29, 30 minutes. Yeah, she's gonna be fine in this rotation, man. And then credit the Lynx coaching staff, those that are responsible for the challenges. To get back to back. Hey, look, man, in a game this tight, those back-to-back challenges, the back-to-back challenge wins were huge, because both of those situations, if they lose those challenges or say they elect not to pursue those challenges, Washington was at the foul line both of those times, both of those situations. You essentially wiped 4 points off the board. Ray, what was the winning margin?
4 points.
With everything that happened in this game, like you mentioned, with the turnovers, so shout out to them for winning those challenges. But yeah, Sonia was a hell of a performance. 9 at 12 against that defense. 9 at 12 from the floor, 4 or 5 from deep. Missed a couple free throws. You can live with it. You're dealing with Caleb McBride on the other side. Like, it's your own personal. It's just not a fun matchup. But as you said, for Washington, man, we've been talking all year about those turnovers, man, and I did the same thing. Getting stuff together, going down the team stats, and I feel like almost every other game this season, we've all gotten to that point. We have an idea of what the turnovers look like while watching the game. Then you verify it afterwards, and it's like, damn, that was it. And those few turnovers that came in the fourth, in opportunities when Washington had a chance to go ahead, which is tough. But you had any other final thoughts on this before we get to player of the game?
Nah, I mean, it's just what game is this for them? It's
game 30. It's the
30th. Game 30. Yeah, it's the 30th episode of the season. Same script every time. They got to figure that out, man.
And the weird part with the turnovers tonight, we talked about with the bigs. It's not only the bigs, guards, just as a whole, they have to do a better job as a whole of taking care of the ball. They just have to, man. But we'll get to the important stuff here. As always, player of the game. I think we kind of know who that was, but
yeah, Alana Smith.
Go ahead
for
first,
sure, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Same page for that. For the second time. 24 last time, 25 this time. Then I think her season high this year is like 26 or 27. The next two highest are against Washington. Both of when Minnesota needed them the most. X factor in this one.
I'm gonna go Dejanay Carrington, man. Like you said, her first game with the team, 30 minutes off the bench, extremely productive. And even leading up to this game, I just kind of hearing Cheryl Reeve talk about how she was going to use her, and she immediately said like they showed her media availability after practice. I think right after the trade was made, she immediately said, "Oh, we're going to throw in there right away. No need to wait." So of course, we would never doubt a move Cheryl Reeve has made anyway, but she obviously was was looking forward to getting her on his team and knew what she would bring. And yeah, she put her in. She did her thing. Had some big momentum plays on both ends. So yeah, man. And again without Fee, and we know Alana Smith did a lot of the heavy lifting, but without Dejanay, especially with the job they did defensively on Caleb McBride, this game goes a little different.
Hey, man, it's a 4-point game. You got 12 points from your newest addition, 2 threes plus 5. I mean, but from technically, someone you asked to come in and be a defensive stopper. 12 points in a close game. Got you a couple possessions and a wave, a couple steals and a block. And it's for everything that you listed. Yeah, credit to Minnesota for that. Washington wraps up this road trip in Dallas, which again, there's this continued theme. Dallas has a couple, couple new faces. In that situation where we'll be seeing Diamond Miller, that was traded from Minnesota, for Dejanay Carrington. We'll see her alongside her new Wings teammates. I know she's played already, but against Washington on Sunday, that will be the end of that road trip. So, Cardell, Ray, you guys talked about how important this road trip was. Washington so far, we talked about how they really couldn't go over. It was going to kind of damage their postseason hopes. They got a chance to avoid going over on this trip if they get the dub on Sunday. So we'll see what that looks like. Comments. Courtside Queen said trading your all-star is insane. I felt like we're getting some comments about the trades, but Ray, your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I get it, but you definitely hate to see Slim go. But I mean, they're in stage 1 of a rebuild. Got a first rounder back, put Slim in in a situation where she can possibly compete for a title. So I mean, this is just the business side of it. We're not going to agree with every move they make. We also don't know every thought that's in their head surrounding these moves, and either it's going to work or it's not. So we just got to wait and see.
We say things that road, only time will tell. But yeah, we knew something was going to happen, and we saw 2 moves transpire during this, approaching this trade deadline. Area 11T, again, Courtside Queens, appreciate the response and for tuning in. It's a tough one, but why did it feel like we just watched a breakout star game?
Yeah, I'm assuming these references. So yeah, but yeah, things have been slowing down for her as the season has progressed, and that's great to see. They pointed out she only scored single digits 5 games this season, but now like we're seeing 20 somethings like consistently. She's a rookie. We assumed she was going to be a different player at this point of the season than game 1. That's just going through the motions and figuring it out on the fly. Especially, that senior year of college to rookie year, the W transition is always tough because you basically don't get an off season. Once she gets a real summer to kind of reflect and then work on some stuff, I think year 2 is going to have good things in store.
Yeah, I think we're just finding out that she's, more like what we thought, those early glimpses and flashes that Ray talked about earlier this season. I remember some of you guys' comments, like literally 3 games in the season. We were like, talk to us around 30. And these are your words right now around game 30. So look where we're at right now is a wonderful thing. I don't even know if I just thought this was a really good, efficient night. Like the breakout thing didn't even enter my mind. Like her and again, I didn't even realize it was 5 games outside of double digits. Ray, you said just 5?
Mm-hmm.
25 of the 30 games quarter double figures. Hey man, that's kind of insane. Also feels like Kiki's starting to figure it out, but we got to do a better job of getting her ball. Hey man, other teams are going to do what they have to do. Again, these rookies play a big role in how games go for Washington. I think teams know Washington wants to go through the paint. That's where, their strength is. And if you're an opposing team, what are you going to do? Hey, man, no fly zone in the paint. Bombs away, we'll live with it. So, but yeah, I think Kiki, Shakira, just going through. Hey, team's not about to sit there and let them get one-on-ones down on that block or down on a block or the elbow, things like that. It doesn't work. We saw Shakira get going early. Minnesota was like, yeah, I'm going to stop all that freedom of movement type stuff real quick. We've seen it happen to Kiki as well. How do y'all feel about the trades we're looking for from the young players the rest of the season?
Yeah, the trades are what they are. Like Wilson said earlier, we knew there was going to be some activity. So I wasn't really surprised. But yeah, like I said, we just gotta wait and see. This is I don't think either one of those moves was to benefit this season that we're in. This is a kind of a down the road thing. So the front office obviously has a plan. They're trying to execute it. Hopefully, it pans out. But yeah, as far as the young players go, just to see them continue to develop and get acclimated to the league, I think they're doing a good job of that. We saw, we kind of saw both of them go through some hills and valleys. Talking about Kiki and Sonya specifically. And yeah, one point early in the season, Kiki was like, yeah, early in the season, I was able to have more breathing room than I have now. And she's just adjusting to that. Sonya, she's starting to be a little more aggressive, and the game is slowing down for her, and she's able to pick her spots better, and that leads to efficient nights like we saw tonight. So yeah, man, just want them to continue to be professionals and get better at their craft. That's all.
Yeah, like you said with the trades, it's gonna be one of those things. I know it's corny and cliche. We'll find out in time. Over time, we'll find out. That's how these things would be judged. Obviously for the trade with Slim, especially the trade with Aaliyah, we'll find out over time. We still have to see, JC Sheldon joins the team on Sunday. See how she fits into this. It's kind of like, at least like the Aaliyah trade is kind of like reminds me on the men's side, kind of like when they moved Rui. It was like you didn't have to, but your choice is your choice. So we'll, that's how I feel initially. We'll see what that looks like. But at the same token, like, again, looking at that side of it, I'm sure at that time what it looked like as of right now, after what, the young core that they've amassed so far, is anybody like really truly upset about it because of how things turned out? But that's us looking back on it. At that moment, we're like, we don't know what this is going to look like. But now after we've seen what you got for them, essentially what it turned into, feel differently. So with this, as Ray said, we'll find out in the future. We know they got 3-1s going in next year. The one with Dallas is a pick swap. We won't have any idea what anything looks like. That officially starts becoming something tangible come draft day. We'll see what happens. We get an idea. And then it's them getting in here. We'll see how everything fits. So all we know for sure out of this, for sure, they had 3 first-round picks this year. 2 of them for sure we know can play in the W. Two of them show they could be foundational pieces possibly. You had 4, I'm sorry. You had 3 first, and then Lucy. I don't want to keep forgetting Lucy. And Lucy's showing she could be a part of your rotation. So we'll see. So that means you got to try to go 3 for 3 next year. And maybe we'll be able to look back this, 30 games in next season and go, all right, all that was okay. All that made sense. Or we're looking back in game 30 and next year like, damn, y'all didn't maybe that wasn't the right thing at that time, but we don't know now. Our favorite part was seeing Citron actively looking for the ball, trying to score late in the game since he's generally so passive. I wouldn't even go with the passive. I would just say, like, you had a vet, they had that role to close games out. That vet's no longer here. So, yeah, it's totally different. If before it was give Slim the ball and be ready if now, it's look like they try to put her in. So, what are your thoughts on this, right?
No, I'm with you, man. It's like you said, the Slim left the void, and she's just simply filling it. but yeah, it's good to see her at least recognize that and be able to produce in those moments. So yeah, man, that's just another part of her development.
Right, and that's the biggest thing for me is just continue, like you said, Ray. Just you got what 10 more games left or 14 more games left. Sorry, so 10. Still getting used to the added games. 10, 14 more games left. How they close this thing out, regardless of record, like how the youngsters and pieces of this roster that we think might be here going forward, how they close things out, and also I'm sure they'll be, happy to get. I'm sure the Bigs will be happy to get another guard willing, and I know one thing about JC Sheldon. She gets open look from there. It's not getting swung, bro. It's going up. So I'm sure the Bigs can appreciate that. Like, there's no hesitation to thinking about it. She knows what she's out here to do. So we'll see what that's about. I said he meant generally passive throughout the game. Yeah, again, I would still kind of double down with this Slim thing. Like, if you got kind of a vet, you got an OG there, like that's a different role for you to play. So we'll see. Because I guess your question or your comment with this will get answered over the next 10 to 14 games as they end up in these situations more with Slim not here. But Ray, if you have nothing else, we're going to close out. We'll see you guys Sunday afternoon after they take on the Dallas Wings to conclude this road trip, and then they come back home, and their schedule doesn't get any easier in the least bit when they return. But y'all have a good night.